The massive hall on Nexus Prime was completely silent. 47 different alien species had gathered in the Galactic Council chamber. Each species had sent their most important leaders. The room was filled with creatures that looked nothing like humans. Some had scales, others had tentacles, and many had more eyes than any human could imagine. High Arbiter Zethkar stood at the center of the room. He was from the Velthari Empire and looked like a giant crystal with 4 glowing eyes. His voice echoed through the chamber as translation devices turned his words into every language in the galaxy. The vote is complete, Zethkar announced. All 47 species have decided. The planet called Earth and its human inhabitants will be enslaved. Commander Jake Morrison sat in a small booth designed for defendants. He was a tall man with gray hair and weathered skin. His face showed no emotion, but his hands were clenched into fists. Next to him sat Dr. Lisa Chang, Earth's top scientist, who studied alien life. She held her electronic tablet so tightly her knuckles had turned white. They had come to this meeting with hope. Earth had discovered faster-than-light communication 3 months ago when alien signals reached their planet. The humans thought this was their chance to join the galactic community. Instead, they were watching their world get sentenced to slavery. These creatures called humans are too violent, Zethkar continued. They fight wars on their own planet. They destroy their environment. They cannot be trusted to exist freely in our peaceful galaxy. They will work as slaves for the benefit of all civilized species. Hive speaker Zach clicked his sharp mandibles together. He looked like a giant insect with multiple arms and compound eyes. Their technology is primitive. They barely left their own planet. They will be perfect workers in our deep mines where more advanced species cannot go. Ambassador This is floated in a water-filled tank with breathing equipment covering her fish-like face. These humans show too much aggression. We have watched them for 30 years. They never stop fighting each other. This violence must be controlled and used for productive work. Captain Mortek of the silicon-based Corvani race scraped his rock-like claws against his stone chair. They breed quickly and adapt to different environments. Our industrial colonies need workers who can survive in harsh conditions. Jake slowly stood up. His 6-foot height made him taller than most of the aliens in the room. You are making a big mistake, he said in a quiet voice. The chamber exploded with what passed for laughter among the different species. Some creatures made clicking sounds, others produced deep rumbling noises, and a few released gas clouds. That changed color. The translation devices could barely keep up with all the dismissive sounds. A mistake. Zethkar's 4 eyes glowed brighter. Human, your species, has been watched for 3 decades. We have seen your constant wars. We have seen how you poison your own air and water. We have seen your primitive rockets that can barely reach your nearest moon. You show no signs of growing beyond your violent nature. You will serve the galaxy much better as workers than as partners. Dr. Chang activated her communication device. She sent a coded message that would travel through space to Earth. The message would take several hours to reach home through the quantum relay system. But it was simple. Protocol 7. They chose slavery. Jake's mouth curved into a smile, but there was no happiness in it. It was the kind of smile that meant danger was coming. Dr. Chang, Jake said without looking away from the assembled aliens. Please send our official response to the Galactic Council's decision. It would be my pleasure, Commander. Lisa's fingers moved quickly across her device. Message sent. Humanity politely refuses your offer of slavery. Come and try to take us if you think you can. The chamber became quiet again. This time the silence felt different. Some of the alien delegates looked at each other with uncertainty. They had expected the humans to beg for mercy or try to negotiate. Instead, these 2 humans seemed almost pleased with the decision. Your defiance has been noted, Zethkar said, though his voice did not sound as confident as before. The combined fleets of the Galactic Council will arrive at your world in 2 of your months. Tell your people to prepare for relocation too. Work colonies. Elder Vashta of the energy-based Luminari species flickered with different colors. Perhaps we should reconsider. These humans seem unusually calm for a species facing extinction. Nonsense. Interrupted War Chief Gorthok of the militaristic Bruken Horde. I have studied human military capabilities. Their most powerful weapons use chemical explosives. Their fastest ships move slower than our cargo vessels. One Bruken battlecruiser could conquer their entire planet. Dr. Cheng looked up from her. Device War Chief Gorthak, you mentioned studying our military capabilities. Which specific capabilities did you observe? The large, bear-like alien warrior laughed. Your pathetic nuclear weapons, your slow chemical rockets, your primitive electronic systems. We have technology that is thousands of years more advanced. I see, Lisa said calmly. And these observations came from what sources? Our surveillance probes have been monitoring your world for decades. We know everything about your capabilities. Lisa exchanged a quick glance with Jake, both humans. Smiled the same cold smile as the session ended. Security guards escorted Jake and Lisa to a holding facility on Nexus Prime. The transparent walls of their cell allowed them to see the alien representatives boarding their various ships. Each delegate was eager to return home and prepare for humanity's conquest. The Veltheri left in their crystal ships that looked like giant diamonds. The Krillians departed in bioships that appeared to be alive and breathing. The Murloth boarded, vessels filled with water for their aquatic crews. Ship after ship launched from the space station, carrying news of humanity's coming enslavement. To every corner of the galaxy, none of the aliens noticed the small changes Lisa had made to the facility's communication system during their brief tours earlier that day. The quantum beacon she had secretly installed was already working, sending detailed scans of every ship, every species, and every piece of technology present at the council session. Through the cell walls, Jake and Lisa watched the last alien ship disappear into faster-than-light travel. Do you think they actually believe their own intelligence reports? Lisa asked. They want to believe them, Jake replied. It makes them feel superior. They think they are dealing with a species that just learned to use fire. The surveillance probes they mentioned were the ones we allowed them to see, Lisa said. I wonder how they would react if they knew about the real human space program. They will find out soon enough, Jake said. 2 months should be just enough time. Far away on Earth, in a bunker deep beneath the Colorado mountains, General Pete Walker received Lisa's transmission. The message contained detailed information about every alien ship and weapon system present at the council meeting. Pete looked at the data and smiled the same dangerous smile that Jake had worn around him. Technicians worked at computers that looked far more advanced than anything the aliens had observed in their surveillance. Holographic displays showed star maps, fleet positions, and weapon specifications that would have terrified the Galactic Council if they had known such technology existed. Send word to all commands, Pete ordered. Operation Surprise Party is approved. The galaxy wants to play with Earth. Time to show them how humans really play. Humanity had hoped for peace with the galactic community. They had prepared for war instead. The aliens thought they were facing a primitive species that had barely reached its own moon. They were about to discover what humans were really capable of when someone threatened their home. The Galactic Council had voted to enslave Earth. Earth was about to vote back with weapons the galaxy had never imagined. 2 months had passed since the Galactic Council made their decision. Now the largest space fleet in galactic history floated at the edge of Earth's solar system. The massive collection of alien ships stretched across millions of kilometers of empty space near Neptune's orbit. Admiral Rex Thompson stood on the bridge of the human ship called Defiance. He was a man in his 60s with a gray beard and sharp blue eyes. Through the main viewing screen, he could see the enemy fleet taking their positions. The sight would have terrified most people, but Rex smiled as he watched. Captain Foster, give me the final count, Rex ordered. Captain Amy Foster looked at her computer displays. She was a younger woman with short black hair and the focused expression of someone who had trained for war her entire life. 3,417 alien vessels confirmed. Admiral, we have everything from small Zephyrian fighters to massive Gorlock planet crackers. Rex nodded slowly. They think they are facing a species that barely managed to reach its own moon 50 years ago. Turned to address his bridge crew. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you mistake human kindness for human weakness. The alien fleet was impressive by any measure. The Velthari had brought their crystal ships that could turn entire continents into glass. The Krillians had deployed their bioships, living vessels that could change shape and adapt to any threat. The Murloth had sent their quantum phase, cruisers that could become almost invisible to most sensors. On the bridge of the Velthari flagship Eternal Dominion, High Arbiter Zethkar studied his tactical displays with growing confidence. His screens showed only a few human vessels scattered throughout the solar system. They appeared to be using primitive chemical rockets and basic fusion drives. Nothing that could threaten even his smallest escort ships. "Their resistance is pathetic," said Admiral Vorthak, Zethkar's military commander. The crystal beings for eyes glowed with anticipation. "Our early scans show perhaps 50 combat ships. We outnumber them more than 60 to 1. War Chief. Gorthok's voice came through the communication system from his battle cruiser. "My warriors are eager to begin. These humans will learn what happens when primitives challenge their superiors." What the aliens could not see were the changes humanity had made to their solar system during the past 2 months. Every asteroid belt had been filled with hidden weapons platforms disguised as mining equipment. Secret bases on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn were armed with railguns and energy weapons. The asteroid mining facilities the aliens had observed were actually massive shipyards working day and night to build weapons the galaxy had never seen. Most importantly, all the radio signals the aliens were intercepting from human communications were fake. The real human fleet was hiding behind the sun, using technology copied from alien probes and powered by fusion reactors that made their old engines look like candles, Captain Maya. Rodriguez commanded a stealth ship called Silent Hunter. It was one of 50 vessels using alien-derived invisibility technology to hide among the debris of the outer solar system. Her crew had been watching alien communications for weeks, mapping their command structure and finding their weak points. "Target identification complete," reported her tactical officer, Lieutenant Carl Baker. "All alien command ships have been located and cataloged. Their communication encryption is surprisingly simple.
Ow.
They have never faced an enemy capable of advanced code breaking." Maya smiled. "They are about to learn that humans did not conquer their own planet by being polite to each other." The alien fleet began moving forward, confident in their overwhelming advantage. As they crossed beyond Pluto's orbit, hidden human sensors started painting targets and calculating firing solutions. In the deepest bunkers of Earth, supercomputers that had been disguised as civilian research. Facilities began coordinating the defense of humanity's homeworld. Dr. Robert Riskim sat in the main command center buried beneath Geneva. Banks of monitors showed the alien fleet's approach while technicians prepared humanity's first surprise. The quantum communication arrays were ready, the particle beam weapons were charged, and clouds of microscopic robots were positioned throughout the system. "Begin Protocol 7, Dr. Kim ordered quietly. The first sign that something was wrong came when Zephyrian scout ships simply disappeared. One moment, the alien fleet's forward elements were reporting normal readings as they passed Uranus. The next moment, 36 ships stopped existing. Admiral Vorthak stared at his tactical display in confusion. "What happened to the scout wing?" "Unknown, Admiral," his sensor operator replied. "They just vanished. No distress signals, no weapon firing detected." The scouts had encountered humanity's first line of defense, clouds of nanobots, programmed to take apart any non-human technology they found. The microscopic machines had covered the alien ships like metal insects, reducing them to basic atoms in seconds. Admiral Rex Thompson watched the alien fleet's confusion from his hidden position behind the sun. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. Throughout the asteroid belt, weapons platforms that looked like mining equipment powered up their railguns. These were not the primitive kinetic weapons the aliens expected. They were electromagnetic cannons capable of shooting projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. The first attack caught the alien fleet completely unprepared. Tungsten rods the size of telephone poles slammed into alien vessels at incredible speeds. Their kinetic energy was enough to punch through even the heavily armored Velthari battleships. In 30 seconds, the galaxy's greatest armada lost over 200 ships. "Impossible," Zethkar screamed, as his bridge shook from a near Miss, our intelligence reports showed primitive technology. Where did these weapons come from? His answer came in the form of a transmission from Earth. The face that appeared on his screen belonged to a human woman with short brown hair and cold blue eyes. She wore the uniform of something called the United Earth Defense Force. Owl Arbiter, Zethkar said General Kate Stevens. Her voice carried across space with perfect clarity. I am General Stevens, Supreme Commander of Earth's military forces. You have made a serious error in judgment. Your pathetic resistance will be crushed. Zethkar snarled back. We have thousands of ships. Kate's expression never changed. You had thousands of ships. You currently have roughly 3,000 remaining. In approximately 4 minutes, you will have significantly fewer. As if her words had summoned them, the real human fleet emerged. From behind the sun, but these were not the primitive vessels the aliens had expected to face. Sleek warships with hulls that seemed to bend light around them accelerated on controlled nuclear fire. They moved with grace and speed that challenged the aliens' understanding of physics. Captain Maya Rodriguez brought Silent Hunter out of hiding along with her squadron. All ships, weapons free. Target their command vessels first. The human ships unleashed destruction beyond alien imagination. Particle beams that could slice through any known armor carved through alien hulls like knives through butter. Missiles using miniaturized fusion warheads turned proud alien dreadnoughts into expanding clouds of superheated gas. Most terrifying were the gravity bombs that created tiny black holes, crushing entire squadrons of ships into points smaller than atoms. Admiral Orthak watched in horror as his fleet died around him. Ships that had ruled the galaxy for centuries were being destroyed like toys. How is this possible? They were supposed to be primitives. The answer came from Dr. Lisa Chang, who the aliens thought was their prisoner. She appeared on alien communication channels standing on what was clearly an advanced human vessel. You made the classic mistake of assuming that what you could see was all there was, she said calmly. Humanity has been preparing for this day since we first detected your observation probes 30 years ago. Every piece of technology we showed, every primitive system you observed, was carefully planned theater. She gestured to displays showing the battle. You thought you were facing a species that had barely reached its own moon. In reality, you are fighting a civilization that has been hiding faster than light travel, advanced artificial intelligence, and weapons technology that makes your entire arsenal look like stone tools. The alien fleet began to break apart as panic spread through their ranks. Ships that had fought together for centuries turned and ran, only to encounter more human forces that seemed to appear from empty space. Captain, Amy Foster coordinated the systematic destruction of the fleeing vessels. Continue targeting their engines. We want survivors to carry the message back to their homeworlds. Why are we letting any escape? Asked her weapons officer. Amy's smile showed no mercy, because the real lesson has not started yet. As the broken remains of the alien fleet limped away from Earth's solar system, they carried news of their devastating defeat back to their homeworlds. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity was not the primitive species they had believed. But this was only the beginning. Earth was preparing to teach the galaxy a lesson about what happened when you threatened human freedom. The remaining alien ships fled in complete panic. What had started as the greatest invasion fleet in galactic history was now scattered wreckage floating through Earth's solar system. Less than 1,000 ships survived out of more than 3,000 that had arrived with such confidence just hours before. High Arbiter. Zethkar sat in his damaged command chair aboard the Eternal Dominion. His crystalline body flickered with pain and confusion. Around him, his bridge crew worked frantically to repair systems that human weapons had damaged in ways they did not understand. Status report, Zethkar demanded, though his voice had lost all its earlier arrogance. Hull breaches on 17 decks, reported his engineer. Primary weapons are offline. Life support is running on emergency power. Admiral, our quantum shields were useless against their weapons. Cut through our defenses like they were not even there. Admiral Vorthak limped over to Zethkar's chair. Half of his crystal face had been shattered by debris when a human particle beam had nearly destroyed their ship. High Arbiter, we must retreat immediately. Our fleet is broken. We have lost over 2/3 of our vessels. War Chief Gorthok's communication came through filled with static and pain. A battlecruiser is dying. These humans have weapons that should not exist. They are firing black holes at us. Black holes. Ambassador This's floated in her cracked water tank, her breathing apparatus barely functioning. My deep space cruisers are gone. All of them. The humans appeared from nowhere and destroyed them in seconds. How did they hide so many ships? Captain Maya Rodriguez piloted Silent Hunter through the debris field that had once been an alien fleet. Her ship moved carefully around floating wreckage, scanning for survivors and intelligence data. The human victory had been so complete, it was almost unbelievable. Tactical report, Maya requested from her crew. Lieutenant Carl Baker looked up. From his displays, final count shows 91% of the alien fleet destroyed or disabled. 733 confirmed kills. We have approximately 300 enemy vessels fleeing the system, most of them damaged. Any human casualties? 0 ships lost? Minor damage to the cruiser New York from debris impact. No personnel casualties reported across the entire fleet. Maya shook her head in amazement. The most powerful military force in galactic history had been crushed without losing a single human life. Admiral Rex Thompson stood on the Bridge of Defiance, watching the alien survivors limp away toward the edge of the solar system. His gray beard could not hide the grim satisfaction on his weathered face. Captain Foster, signal all ships. Let the survivors escape. I need to carry word back to their homeworlds about what happened here. Amy Foster nodded. Yes, sir. Should we pursue and finish them off? No. Dead aliens can't spread fear. But aliens who witnessed our power and lived to tell about it, they will be more valuable than any weapon we could build. In the command bunker beneath Geneva, Dr. Robert Kim monitored the cleanup operations. Banks of computers tracked every piece of alien wreckage, cataloging technology and searching for useful information. The battle had given humanity access to countless examples of alien engineering. Dr. Kim called one of his technicians. We are receiving surrender requests from 17 different species. The Corvani, the Brucon, and the Luminari are all asking for immediate peace negotiations. Robert smiled. Tell them they can talk to General Stevens when she is ready. Right now, we have more important work to do. General Kate Stevens appeared on every surviving alien ship's communication system simultaneously. Her calm face looked directly at each species' military commanders, speaking to them as if she were standing right next to them. Attention, commanders. Of the former Galactic Council fleet, Kate began. You came to our solar system with the intention of enslaving humanity. You believed we were primitive and weak. You were wrong. On the bridge of his dying battlecruiser, War Chief Gorthok watched. The human general with a mixture of fear and confusion. How is she speaking to all of us at once? This communication technology is impossible, Kate continued, as if she had heard his question. You wonder how we can do things that your science says are impossible. The answer is simple. Your science is thousands of years behind ours. You have spent millennia conquering weaker species instead of developing real technology. The image shifted to show views of the battle from human recording devices. Alien ships dying in seconds, massive vessels being crushed by artificial black holes, and energy weapons slicing through armor like paper. What you witnessed today was just a small sample of human military capability, Kate explained. We used approximately 5% of our available forces to destroy your invasion fleet. The weapons you saw represent our older technology developed decades ago. Ambassador This transmitted a desperate message through her damaged communication system. General Stevens, we surrender. The Murloth Empire formally surrenders. Please show mercy. Mercy, Kate repeated, her voice carrying a cold edge. Interesting concept coming from species that voted unanimously to enslave my people. Tell me, Ambassador These, how much mercy did you show the 17 species you enslaved in the Outer Rim territories? The alien ambassador had no answer. Dr. Lisa Chang appeared beside Kate on the transmission. She looked exactly as she had. During the Galactic Council meeting, But now the aliens understood they had been completely fooled. During our time on Nexus Prime, Lisa said, I installed monitoring devices throughout your station. For the past 2 months, we have been listening to your military communications. We know the location of every fleet, every base, every important facility in your empires. The alien commanders felt their blood run cold. If the humans had been intercepting their communications, then no military secret was safe. We know about the slave labor camps on Corvex 7, Lisa continued. We know about the biological weapons testing on captured populations. We know about the systematic extermination. Programs your species have been running for centuries. War Chief Gorthak tried to interrupt. You cannot judge us by your primitive moral standards. We are advanced civilizations. Kate's laugh was sharp and humorless. Advanced. You call yourselves advanced while using slave labor and committing genocide. Let me explain something about human advancement, War Chief. We became truly advanced when we stopped enslaving each other. Transmission showed images from human cities. Clean, beautiful places where beings of different races and species lived together in peace. Advanced technology being used to heal, rather than harm. Children of different backgrounds playing together without fear. This is what real advancement looks like, Kate explained. Not bigger weapons or faster ships, but societies that value all life. You had the technology to create paradise in your territories. Instead, you chose to create hells. Admiral Vorthak spoke up from his damaged ship. What do you want from us? What are your terms for surrender? Surrender. Kate's smile was genuinely frightening. Who said anything about surrender? Seemed to misunderstand your situation. This was not a battle between equals. This was a demonstration. The alien commanders exchanged worried glances across their communication channels. You came here too? Enslave Earth, Kate continued. Earth is coming to your worlds, not to enslave you, but to free every being you have oppressed. Every slave you have taken, every world you have conquered, every species you have dominated will be liberated. You cannot conquer the entire galaxy, Sethkar protested, his crystalline voice cracking with desperation. Conquer? Again, you misunderstand. We have no interest in ruling your territories, but we are very interested in making sure you never threaten anyone again. Captain Maya Rodriguez received new orders through her ship's communication system, along with dozens of other human vessels. Silent Hunter was being assigned to follow the retreating alien ships back to their home worlds. Not to attack the orders specified, but to observe and gather intelligence. Phase 2 of Operation Surprise Party begins immediately. As the broken alien fleet limped toward home, they carried more than just news of their defeat. Carried the terrifying knowledge that humanity was coming for them all. The galaxy was about to learn that when you threatened Earth, Earth threatened back. 6 months had passed since the failed invasion of Earth. The galaxy was now burning with panic and confusion. The few alien ships that had escaped the solar system brought terrifying reports to their home worlds. Humanity possessed technology far beyond what anyone had imagined possible. Even worse, they were using it. Ambassador the Zeus floated in her emergency command tank aboard the last Murloth deep space facility. Her fish-like features showed deep worry as she watched the tactical displays. 3 of her species' most important worlds had already fallen to human forces. But fallen was not the right word for what had happened. The humans had simply appeared one day. Their impossible ships had materialized directly in orbit around Murlath Prime without any warning. No sensors had detected their approach. One moment, the space around the planet was empty. The next moment, it was filled with human warships. They had broadcast a single message in perfect Murloth language by order of the United Earth Defense Force. This world is now under human protection. Your military forces will surrender immediately. When the Murloth fleet had responded with weapons, fire, the humans had shown their displeasure in a way that made no sense. They had not fired back. Instead, they had used their gravity weapons to simply move every Murloth warship to empty space light years away. The crews were left floating helplessly in the void, forced to think about their situation. Then had come the real shock. The humans had not enslaved the population. Instead, they had landed troops who began giving out food, medical supplies, and advanced technology. Within weeks, ordinary Murloff citizens were living better than they ever had under their own government. They are not acting like conquerors. Dice is transmitted to the emergency meeting of surviving council members. They are acting like liberators. Hive speaker Zach's agitated clicking filled the communication channel. His insect-like features twitched. With fear and anger, liberators? They have destroyed our entire colonial network. The Krillian Empire has lost 40% of its territory. Because your empire was built on slave labor and conquest, came a calm reply from an unexpected source. General Kate Stevens appeared as a hologram in the center of their secret meeting. Space. Somehow, she had broken through every security measure and encryption system they possessed. Impossible, snarled Zethkar from his hidden bunker, deep underground. This communication is quantum encrypted across 17 different security protocols. Admiral Vorthak sends his regards, Kate interrupted smoothly. He is quite comfortable in his new home on Luna. The medical facilities there are helping him recovered from the injuries he received when his ship was damaged. The silence that followed was complete and terrifying. Vorthak had been hiding in the most secure facility in Velthari space, protected by their most advanced military technology. If the humans had captured him, then nowhere was safe, Kate continued, as if she had not just announced the impossible. Let me be very clear about humanity's position. You voted to enslave us because you believed we were weak and primitive. You were wrong on both counts. We are neither weak nor primitive, and we remember every threat you made. The hologram shifted to show scenes from dozens of worlds. Human ships in orbit, human soldiers on the ground, but no signs of the destruction that usually followed military conquest. Instead, the images showed alien civilians receiving medical care, food, and education. However, Kate continued, we are not like you. Do not believe in enslaving entire species because they made poor decisions. Instead, we are offering something your galaxy has apparently never experienced, a chance at redemption.
Captain.
Dan Wright stood on the bridge of the assault carrier New Horizon. Through the main viewing screen, he watched his Marines conducting what they politely called humanitarian intervention on the former Velthari slave world of Korvax 7. The operation was typical of humanity's new approach to galactic politics.
Status.
Report Colonel Santos. Don requested Colonel Maria Santos appeared on his communication screen. Her power armor was dusty from the planet's surface, but her voice was cheerful. The slave compounds have been liberated, sir. We have distributed medical supplies and emergency shelters to approximately 40,000 beings from 16 different species. The Velthari overseers surrendered without resistance once they realized we were not here to kill them. Good. What about the former slaves? That is complicated, sir. Most of them do not understand the concept of freedom. Some are actually asking when their new work assignments will begin. They have been slaves for so many generations that they do not know any other way to live. Don nodded grimly. This was the reality humanity had discovered as they liberated world after world throughout the galaxy. The galactic community had been built on systematic oppression for so long that many species had forgotten any other way to exist. Continue standard procedure, Colonel. Set up temporary camps, start education programs, and offer voluntary relocation assistance. No one gets forced to do anything they do not want to do. Back in the secret council meeting, Kate's hologram was explaining humanity's terms. We are not interested in ruling your galaxy. Frankly, cleaning up the mess you have made of it is more work than we want to take on permanently. But we are very interested in making sure this kind of systematic oppression never happens again. What do you want from us? Dices asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Complete dissolution of the current Galactic Council. Full reparations for every species you have enslaved or conquered. And most importantly, the establishment of a new governing body with real representation for all intelligent beings, not just the ones with the biggest fleets. Former War Chief Gorthak transmitted from his hiding place in the Brucan territories. You cannot simply force your will on the entire galaxy. Kate's smile was polite and absolutely terrifying. Former War Chief, 6 months ago, you had the largest fleet in galactic history. Today, you are hiding in a cave while human forces control over 60% of your former territory. Would you like to test whether we can force our will? The meeting dissolved into chaos as the remaining council members realized the full scope of their situation. Humanity had not just defeated their invasion fleet. They had systematically dismantled the power structure that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Dr. Lisa Chang appeared alongside Kate in the hologram. We have been studying your historical records during our liberation campaigns. The level of cruelty your species have inflicted on others is truly impressive. The Velthari alone had enslaved over 200 different species in the past millennium. Those species were inferior, Zethkar protested. They needed guidance and structure. Structure, Lisa repeated thoughtfully. Is that what you call? Forcing children to work in radioactive mines? Is guidance your term for systematic torture and medical experimentation? Elder Vashta, of the energy-based luminary, flickered with different colors that indicated deep shame. The council operated under the principle of might makes right. Strong ruled the weak. This has been the natural order for millennia. Natural order, Kate said. It's how interesting. Let me tell you about the natural order on Earth. We had the same system for most of our history. The strong dominated the weak. We had slavery, we had conquest, we had empires built on the suffering of others. The alien leaders listened with growing confusion. But then we grew up, Kate continued. We realized that true strength comes from protecting the weak, not exploiting them. We learned that real advancement means lifting everyone up, not standing on their backs. Captain Maya Rodriguez reported in from the Krillian border territories. Admiral, we have completed liberation of the prison colonies in Sector 7. Approximately 2 million beings have been freed from forced labor camps. Medical teams are treating severe malnutrition and systematic abuse. Many of the prisoners had been held for decades. The reports kept coming in from across the galaxy. Human forces were systematically dismantling every slave operation, every forced labor camp, every facility used to oppress other species. They moved with efficiency that terrified the former council members. The age of empire is over, Kate announced to the hidden alien leaders. You can surrender peacefully and help us build something better, or you can resist and watch us tear down everything you've built anyway. Your choice. The galaxy was learning that humanity kept its promises, both the good ones and the bad ones. 1 year had passed since humanity first showed the galaxy their true power. Now representatives from over 300 species gathered on Earth for the first meeting of the reformed Galactic Assembly. The irony was not lost on anyone present. The world they had voted to enslave was now the center of galactic government. Ambassador Elena Martinez stood at the speaking platform in the assembly hall. The building had been constructed where the old United Nations headquarters once stood in New York. Around her, delegates from across the galaxy sat in identical chairs. There were no special throne-like seats for superior species, and no separate sections for lesser beings. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all types, Elena began. Her words were translated into hundreds of languages by humanity's advanced computer systems. We gather today not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals working toward a common goal. We want to make sure that no species ever again faces the choice between slavery and death. In the audience, former High Arbiter Zethkar sat in a simple chair like everyone else. His once mighty presence had been reduced to that of a war criminal waiting for judgment. Beside him, other former council members listened to testimony from countless beings whose lives had been destroyed by their policies. The transformation of the galaxy had not been gentle. When peaceful surrender was not offered, humanity had shown the same ruthless efficiency that had once helped them conquer their own world. The Gorlak hegemony learned this lesson when they tried to use their planet-destroying weapons against human-protected worlds. Their entire fleet had simply disappeared, transported by gravity bombs into the center of their own sun. Dr. Robert Kim stood before the assembly as Earth's chief science advisor. He presented humanity's most revolutionary offer, free access to human technology, for any species willing to sign the new Galactic Accords. The age of artificial scarcity is over, he announced. No species will be denied the tools for prosperity, because they lack the military strength to take them by force. The technology being offered was beyond most species' wildest dreams. Faster than light travel, they could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. Medical techniques that could heal injuries and diseases that had been considered impossible to treat. Environmental restoration systems that could repair damaged worlds in years instead of centuries. Admiral Maya Rodriguez, now commander of the Galactic Peacekeeping Force, addressed security concerns. Her uniform bore symbols from dozens of different worlds, representing the unity of the new order. The peacekeeping force will be composed of volunteers from all member species, she explained. They will be trained to the same standards and equipped with the same technology. Never again will military might be concentrated in the hands of just a few species. The new peacekeepers were already making a difference. Mixed crews of humans, former Velthari, reformed Krillians, and dozens of other species worked together to maintain order and protect the weak. The sight of former enemies cooperating as equals still amazed many observers. Captain Dan Wright, now overseeing refugee resettlement operations across the galaxy, gave his report to the Assembly. The numbers were staggering. For 2 billion enslaved beings had been freed from 40 star systems in the past year. The psychological damage runs very deep, Dan explained to the gathered delegates. Many of these beings have lived under oppression for generations. Teaching them that they have value as individuals, that they have rights that cannot be taken away, is the work of decades, not months. The rehabilitation programs were showing remarkable success. Former slaves were learning to read, to make their own choices, to dream of futures beyond mere survival. Schools had been established on hundreds of worlds, teaching not just practical skills, but the concept of personal freedom. Former Hive speaker Zach stood to address the Assembly. His insect-like features moved with nervous energy, but his translated words carried genuine emotion. His species had undergone one of the most dramatic transformations of all, abandoning their rigid caste system in favor of individual choice. The humans showed us something we had forgotten, Zach said. They showed us that strength does not come from dominating others, but from lifting them up. The Krillian people formally requested admission to the reformed Galactic Assembly. Vote was unanimous. Even former enemies supported the Krillians' admission, recognizing the genuine changes they had made to their society. Similar scenes played out throughout the Assembly. Species after species stood to renounce their old ways and embrace the new order. The Murloth had disbanded their racial purity laws. The Bruken had outlawed their gladiatorial combat systems. The Velthari had freed all their remaining slaves and offered them full citizenship. Ambassador Thises floated in her speaking tank, her aquatic features showing deep emotion. The Murlath Empire formally apologizes to all species we have wronged. We offer full reparations and ask for the chance to prove we can be worthy members of this new galactic community. Not every species had embraced change willingly. The Shadowkin Collective had refused all diplomatic contact and retreated to their home system. The machine intelligence known as the Infinite Network had declared humans a threat to galactic order and gone into hiding. But these holdouts were isolated and powerless. Cut off from the galactic community they had once helped oppress. General Kate Stevens watched the proceedings from the observation gallery. At her side stood Admiral Rex Thompson, his weathered face showing satisfaction at how far they had come. Any regrets? Kate asked quietly. Rex considered the question while watching former enemies work together on the assembly floor. They forced our hand. We could have been content to stay in our solar system, maybe explore a few nearby stars. Instead, they made us responsible for half the galaxy. And how do you feel about that? Rex smiled, the expression warmer than any of his former enemies would have believed possible. Maybe it is not such a bad thing. Humanity always did better when we had something worth protecting. The assembly continued its work through the day and into the night. They were writing new laws that protected individual rights regardless of species. They were establishing institutions that served all beings equally. They were slowly, carefully, building a civilization based on cooperation rather than conquest. Elder Vashta, of the Luminari, spoke for many when she addressed the assembly near the end of the session. For the first time in galactic history, we have hope. Hope that our children will live in a universe where might does not make right, where technology serves all beings equally. and where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. The changes were already visible throughout the galaxy. Trade routes that had been restricted to elite species were now open to all. Medical advances developed by humans were being shared freely with worlds that had been denied basic healthcare for centuries. Educational programs were spreading literacy and scientific knowledge to populations that had been kept deliberately ignorant. But perhaps the most important change was in how species viewed each other. The old divisions between superior and inferior races were dissolving. Children of different species played together in integrated schools. Scientists from dozens of worlds collaborated on research projects. Artists created works that celebrated diversity rather than promoting division. As the first session of the reformed Galactic Assembly came to an end, representatives began planning for the future. It would take generations to undo the damage. Of millennia of oppression, there would be setbacks, conflicts, and failures along the way. Some species might never fully embrace the new order, but for the first time in recorded galactic history, there was genuine hope for something better. The species that had voted to enslave. Earth now worked alongside humans to build a civilization based on freedom, equality, and mutual respect. They had begged not just for mercy, but for the chance to prove they could be worthy of the redemption humanity offered. And slowly, carefully, humanity was teaching them how to earn it. The galaxy would never be the same again.